Welcome to this series where we solve Leetcode questions. Today we'll be dealing with a question tagged as medium. The title of the question is find key length substring with no repeated characters. So now reading the question. Given a string s and an integer k, return the number of substrings in s of length k with no repetitions or with no repeated characters. Let's look at the constraints that we are given before delving into the understanding of the question itself. So we know that the string that will be given will fall between a length of 1 to 100,000, and the string that will be given will only consist of lowercase letters, and also the k value will range from 1 to 100,000. Then the other constraint that is not mentioned over here, or the other point to note that is not mentioned over here, is that the k value given could be higher than the length of the string. So now let's go back to the question. So what the question requires us to do is, when we are given a certain string like this, we are supposed to take a contiguous substring of length k or k items which do not have repeated characters in there. So once we find a substring of length k with no repeated characters, then we know we can increment a certain count. Then we know that we have found like one item that we are looking for. Alright, so let's consider this example, right? Let me take out my solution first of all. Let's consider this example. Alright, so when I look at this example, we have a string of length, a very long string. Then if you are going to follow the example or the question or the understanding of the question, we are going to split this string into substrings of 5 items at a time. So for the first, let's just term the splitting or the item that we find as window. So the first window, we are going to have something like this. Okay, let me just create alright, so for the first window or the first substring, we are going to have HAVEF. That's our first substring. Then we check, does this string have duplicate in there? It doesn't have a duplicate, so we kind of like we know it doesn't have a duplicate, so we increment a certain count. Then we consider the next window, and the next window is going to start from A. We check that one, AVEFU. That one too doesn't have any duplicates, so we increment the count. When we check window 3 or the third window, VEFUN, that one too has no duplicate, so we increment the count. So we continue doing this to reach window 5, which has something different. So when we look at so when we look at windows 4 and 5, window 4 has no repeated characters, so we increment the count. When we look at window 5, we have the character n repeating itself in there, so we have duplicates, so therefore we are not going to increment the count. Alright, so that's just what the question requires us to do, to just find a number of like substrings that are unique, or substrings from the string that we are given of length k that are unique. Right, so having gone through all this explanation, now let's see what some of the things that we need to know in order to solve this question. First of all, we said we need to find duplicates. So how do you find duplicates in a string? Alright, so the easiest way to find a duplicate in a string is to convert it into a set. and we know for set we don't have duplicates in a set. So once we convert the string into a set and we compare the length of that set that we have to the length of the original substring that we converted, if the length is the same, then we know that there are no duplicates. But if there's a change in the length, then we know that there are duplicates in there. Alright, so now to the solution of the question. To solve this question, there are numerous ways we can solve these questions. Obviously, there are numerous ways we can solve this question, but we are going to consider the sliding window technique, because we'll be dealing with like contiguous substrings or contiguous set of items in a larger array. Yeah. So to the solution of the question. So first of all, we have to have a certain variable that will keep track of the unique items we find, the number of unique items we find. So in this case, I'll call that variable count. Yeah, so I'm going to call that variable count. Yeah, so we initialize it to be 0. Then we are going to do a check over here. Remember we said we could have the k value larger than the length of the string that we are given. So in that case, we would want to return immediately without doing any further computation. So once we find out that the k value that we are given is bigger than the length, or the length of the string that we are given, so we just return 0. In this case, count is already set to 0 in the beginning. So once we don't find this, then we initiate the loop. So first of all, we start running our loop. Yeah, so well, let me just grab the whole thing and explain as we move. Oh no, this is bad. What is this? Alright, I guess this is it. Yeah, so we initialize a certain count that's supposed to keep track of the unique substrings that we find. Then we do a check if the k value we are given is larger than the length of the string that we are given, then we want to return 0 or return immediately. But if we don't, then we start iterating through the items that, or the characters that we have. Then for each iteration, we are going to create a substring. The substring is going to start from from the current index that we are on to the length of to the value of k. If k is 3, then we are going to have like 3 values in there. Then once you have our substring created, the next thing is to convert the substring into a set. Then once you convert to a set, if there are duplicates in there, it will be taken out. If there are no duplicates, it's left the way it is. So once you convert to a subset, we find the length of that subset. If you should compare the length of that subset to the k value that we are given, that's the length of, or the number of items in the substring that in a valid substring. Yes. So once we check that and this condition is fulfilled, then we increment our count. Yeah. So in the end, we return this loop. We return this count variable. Alright, so now let's run our solution. Okay, we have our test cases passing. Now let's submit. Boom, and we are good. Alright, so now going through the runtime of our code. Alright, so the runtime of our code is going to be of order of n, O of n. The reason being that we have a loop here that we are using. And for any loop that you do, you consider the worst case. The worst case is going over all the items in the loop. That's if the string that we are given has a length of n, then the worst case is going to be going over all the items in the string. That's O of n. Then the next one is finding the length of a set. Finding the length of a set has a constant runtime. So when we do the computation, we are going to have a runtime of O of n. Yeah.